Is this news to you, this openness that Vladimir Putin seems to be indicating to a ceasefire discussion with Donald Trump?
Well, it just proves that it was the right decision to provide Ukraine with long-range missiles. And we've been waiting for this decision for quite long. And we want the other countries which are capable to provide Ukraine with such support follow the suit.
There's pushback on that narrative, though, that if you were starting to see at least openness and Vladimir Putin come to the table for, again, these ceasefire talks, comments he hasn't made in a very long time, is only seeming to come to the surface post-Donald Trump's election. Is this the right time to be using those long-range missiles?
Again, we are talking about talking to Russia from the position of strength. And finally, it's happening. So you see that as soon as Ukraine is getting stronger, as soon as Ukraine could be capable to strike back, you see what's happening in Russia. So you see this development. And also what happened with this Putin's decision about changing the nuclear doctrine, it shows that it works. So if you talk to him with a position from strength, so they're more ready for a conversation.
Well, let's talk about what that conversation may actually look like, because along with those Reuters headlines, there's the argument that he's not looking to cede territory where there's already perhaps a bigger Russian influence. Where do you stand on that?
Look, we are not in the negotiation right now. And important thing is that we are prepared for any negotiations. And what we need now, we need more weapon, we need air defense. And as soon as it's happening, so we will have better chance to have a meaningful and just peace.
Let's talk about that weapon delivery. Long-range missiles is, of course, the major headline. I believe the Biden administration has also now signed off on anti-personnel landmines as well. But you're getting some very real resistance on other sorts of machinery and weapons from some of your European allies. Germany, of course, top of mind as well. How confident are you that Europe will maybe follow the American lead?
I'm sure you remember how it started from the complete no, impossible, and then maybe, and finally we start receiving tanks, F-16s, and different kinds of ammunition. And I'm sure that it's important that the first step is made, and when we push hard, we can achieve what we need.
We have a new commission here in Brussels, expected to start shortly, certainly in the new year as well. How confident are you that maybe support that Ukraine has felt in the EU, maybe in the past 2 years, will continue in this new commission?
No, we are quite confident that the new commission will stick to the same line, and the composition of the new commission, especially on important portfolios like security affairs, new position on of defense commissioner, gives us quite a good signal that the policy will continue, that Ukraine will get necessary support, and we are getting support. Take, for example, the new tranche, 4 billion for Ukraine, which is coming through in the coming weeks. G7 loan, and I think this policy will continue.
Well, there is some pushback against that argument, given that more EU member states seem to be taking a more direct approach. For example, in the last couple of days, Olaf Scholz on a phone call with Vladimir Putin. How are you thinking about that? Is that a betrayal in your mind when you're lobbying for this support, this continued support from the EU and from the United States? How do you view that phone call?
Look, I don't want to comment about the substance of this call. So what is important is, actions. What is important, it's a policy. And we hope that the policy of Germany will not change, because Germany supports Ukraine a lot. And German companies, like Rheinmetall, for instance, they're present in Ukraine. They produce in Ukraine, not only providing Ukraine the equipment. So yes, it's a difficult situation. So election campaign almost started. But again, we hope that there is no treason.
No change in policy, but certainly a little bit of a change in action when it comes to, even you have to admit that a phone call between Germany and Russia was not even on the table 2 years ago, even 1 year ago, even a couple of weeks ago. That was not certainly something that was even being considered. On top of that, Germany is now almost hesitating when it comes to certain weaponry, not all weaponry, but certain weaponry, the Taurus missiles, of course, coming to mind. Are you sure about that kind of closeness in policy, especially in the context of a new German election in just a couple of months?
So what is important is the substance. What kind of message is delivered? And we hope that right messages are delivered during that type of conversations. And you're right, we need more equipment, we need more components, and it's really unacceptable that we find Western components in the Russian missiles and other equipment. And we want Germany and other countries to provide not only equipment, but electronics and other necessary parts of the equipment to Ukraine, because we can produce a lot. We increased our production, comparing to the situation in 2022, 18 times. So we have a big industry, but we need support.
Do you think that support could get additional pushback from the likes of Hungary, for example? They seem to be more vocal in those EU conversations. They've objected to aid in the past. What role does that play in these goals?
Well, indeed, we managed to cooperate with the EU on defense and security issues, and our colleagues in the EU, they find a way to solve those situations. Yes, there are complications, but we're getting through.